Oh, hi, it's Ezra Levant here. How you doing? It's November 9th. I'm the boss here at Rebel News, but I have the pleasure of sharing this platform every week with my colleagues David Menzies, Sheila Gunn-Reid. Sometimes we have other Rebel talent, including Kian Bexty and Andrew Chapados, who were here last week. We talk about the news of the day in a live stream format. So we have the Super Chats, as YouTube calls it. That's the little box to the right of the video screen. Chat full tilt, it's like a little ticker tape, and if you throw a few dollars behind your chat, it makes it super in the parlance of YouTube. And so let's say you put $5 in for a super chat. YouTube actually gives us 70% of that, which is good because they demonetize us largely, and this is a way that we help pay the bills. So thank you in advance. And I make it a point to read all the super chats. So some people use it to make a point, other people to ask a question, and we do go through all of them. If I don't get to it in real time, which frankly I rarely do, don't despair. Justin, our editor-producer, makes a list of them and sends them to me, so if I'm on a 5 or 10 or 30-minute tangent, I come back to them. There's Chris Marchese. How are you, Ezra? Does Trump have a chance? Well, I'll answer those in sequence. I feel good. I mean, obviously I was a little bit, let's just move my table here. Obviously I was a little bit disappointed. Actually, let me back up a bit. I was exhilarated on election day because the conventional wisdom was so negative, and I had learned enough from the past 4 years to know not to believe the conventional wisdom of the political media industrial complex of the media party. And so as Florida went Republican and Trump picked up the states he needed to, and as it closed in on the Midwest, Trump was leading in Wisconsin, in Michigan, in Pennsylvania. I was very, very excited. I saw that the international markets tanked the Chinese yuan currency. NASDAQ was up. Everything was very exciting. And then, poof, something I've never seen before in my life. The election results counters, the vote counters, the ballot counters just stopped and called it a night before finishing in those key states. And wouldn't you know it, ballots were found at 2, 3, 4 a.m. They gave hundreds of thousands of votes to Biden, and the media chimed in saying, oh, Biden won. And even though there are lawsuits in a lot of different jurisdictions, the media has its preferred alternative reality. Now, I do not deny that at this point, Joe Biden has more ballots counted for him than Donald Trump does. How could I deny that? A simple recount of a fraudulent ballot won't change the recount. What's necessary is that for Trump's lawsuits being filed in various jurisdictions to succeed by knocking out ballots themselves for being fraudulent, for being brought in late, for being... What worries me is, what do you do when there's a break in the chain of custody of ballots? And the thing is, that applies to every single mail-in ballot. So I don't know what's going to happen. We know that a Supreme Court justice named Samuel Alito issued a ruling to Pennsylvania that they have to segregate, they have to separate a whole batch of votes that came in, I think after polls closed or something. So you're going to have a lot of that kind of segregation, separation. But in short, this is still a contest that is alive. I do not dispute what my eyes see, which is that Biden has more votes counted. What I am deeply interested in is if those votes that were counted were fraudulent. And I find the fact that Twitter censors any questions about that to be highly revealing. It's meant to be the opposite of revealing. They're hiding skepticism about the integrity of the election. How does that build confidence in the integrity of the election? How does hiding questions about the integrity of the election build confidence in the integrity of the election? You can't say that. You can't ask that. Like, I mean, telling people to shut up shut up, they explained. Hey, I got a question about that batch of 23,000 ballots, every single which one went to Biden. I got a question. Shut up, they explained. No, that's not persuasive. And you have 70 million, Joel Pollack made this point. I don't know if you can find his tweet. He had so many good ones. He said, President Bush had the largest voter turnout in history of any party. Joe Biden had the highest ballot turnout of any party. The point being they were mailed in. Well, who mailed them in? Are you sure it was the person who was supposed to, like, who, did people just take the ballots, fill them out and mail it? Like, voting by mail is absurd. But I think it is a fact that Donald Trump turned out more voters to the polls than any other American in history. But the thing is, you don't count people, you count ballots, and thus Biden is in the lead. But I point out that, we got the tweet there. Look at Joe Pollock, such a smart guy, I really like him. Republicans turned out the largest number of voters in American history. Democrats turned out the largest number of envelopes in American history. Envelopes counted. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? I should tell you, and I talked to the team about this morning, the term president-elect, it's a term of art. That means it has a special meaning. It's like certain words have a plain meaning and a legal meaning. Like calling someone a fraud. Oh, you fraud, you said you were a vegetarian, but I saw you eating a steak. So, okay, you fraud, you're using that in the plain language of the word, which means you're a trickster, as opposed to the legal definition of a fraud, someone who cheats you out of money, for example. So we can have a legal meaning and we can have a plain English colloquial meaning of the same word meaning different things. President-elect has a legal meaning because, of course, the President of the United States are chosen through something called the Electoral College. There are people called electors who cast votes on behalf of the state. Now, traditionally, each party chooses its electors, and the party that gets the most vote in any state, their electors cast a ballot. But historically, you've had what's called faithless electors. They vote for someone else. And of course, the Constitution says basically states can choose their vote for president any way they want. You could even have a vote in the legislature. You could even have a vote in your congressional delegation. So I'm not trying to be legalistic other than in one sense. The word president-elect has a legal meaning. And that legal definition has not yet been met. So if someone is out there saying President-elect Joe Biden, President-elect Joe Biden, that's not actually true. The votes have not been certified yet. I don't think any state has certified its votes yet. The Electoral College has not weighed in yet. I'm just saying the media that has lied to you for 4 years, they are still lying to you. Now, I'm not a flat earther. I will not tell you that Donald Trump has more envelopes, as Joel Pollack puts it. No, he doesn't. And the only way for Trump to win at this stage is to have fake, fraudulent, or otherwise questionable ballots thrown out. Or if there were Trump ballots thrown out, to have them added in. That's an uphill fight. Because even if you can prove that, can you prove that in sufficient number to make a dent? And can you find a judge willing to take that step? So yeah, if I had to choose which team is looking stronger right now, I would choose the cheating team, the team of the Tammany Hall politics, team of, get your Obama phone if you vote for Obama, the team that runs the murky, corrupt politics in the big cities. They're all Democrat cities: Chicago, Detroit, Baltimore, Washington, D.C. These are the trickster cities. And Philadelphia, I mean, I say again, that amazing rally that Donald Trump had in Butler, Pennsylvania, was it 56,000 people showing up in a field? Like, that's rock concert stuff. Yeah, okay, that's pretty cool. You got 56,000 people to show up in a field, and I bet each one of them voted. But it's a lot easier to get 56,000 pieces of paper shipped into a voting center in Philadelphia at 4 a.m. It's a lot of effort to have people show up and vote. Not a lot of effort to have 56,000 pieces of paper slipped in at 4 a.m. And there's all sorts of allegations which have yet to be proved in court. And even if they are proven, are they of a sufficient nature to cause a judge to overturn things? Now, I should remind you that Al Gore called himself president for, was it 47 days? It's been 6 days since the U.S. election. I think Trump, we could even go to the odds and see what the odds are. the Ladbrokes or the American bookmakers, I'm sure the odds are 10 to 1, which means if you bet $1, you make 10 if you're betting for Trump. I bet the odds are even lower than that. But Donald Trump is still the president, no matter what. He's still the president until the inauguration. That's a fact. And Joe Biden is not the president-elect. I'm sorry, just because the CNN or CBC or New York Times or Washington Post says so, doesn't mean it's true. I'm hearing in my ear that it's Ladbrokes Politics. They've got a special, maybe, what's that American site? Was it Bovada or something? I forget. I can't remember the American one. Maybe they've stopped taking bets, but I don't know why, because it's more exciting now than ever. Now, I saw that over the weekend, there was a rush amongst liberal world leaders to be the first to congratulate Joe Biden on his win. I'd have to dig it up and check, but I bet you 20 years ago there was a rush to congratulate Al Gore on his win too. Or maybe there wasn't. That was before the mania of Trump derangement syndrome. Remember, Bill Clinton had been president from 92 to 2000, so there was sort of fatigue with that whole group. And George W. Bush, he was a little quirky but pretty friendly, and I mean, sure, his papa had been president from 88 to 92, but I see all the super chats, by the way. I promise I will get to them. But I don't know, maybe there wasn't a rush by left-wing countries to say, we're with you, Al Gore. In fact, I bet you that few did, because Bush derangement syndrome hadn't set in yet. But over the weekend, there was a rush of world leaders, Boris Johnson, Doug Ford, Justin Trudeau, even Jason Kenney, and even Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel. And some of those people, they couldn't wait because they hated Donald Trump. If you're a NATO leader that likes to shirk on your military spending, you hate Donald Trump because he said, pay your bill, pay your bill. If you are China, Iran, Venezuela tweeted, I don't know if you saw that. I did a tweet. Nicolas Maduro said how excited he is, looking forward to meeting Joe Biden. So if Venezuela, Iran, I don't know if I've heard from Cuba yet, and China are celebrating Joe Biden, I get why they're doing it. But when you've got France and UK and Canada, it's because they want a weak America. It's not because they want a strong America first president. Am I disappointed that Jason Kenney felt the need to? Well, that's exactly, he felt the need to. Look at this, yeah. Nicolas Maduro, Venezuela, la patria del libertador Simón Bolívar, siempre estará dispuesta al diálogo, dialoguing and listening with the people and the government of the United States. Venezuela, the party of the liberator Simón Bolívar, always is ready to talk and listen. So it's his way of saying we're ready to talk, we love you, thrilled about this, because he hated Trump. Nicolas Maduro is the tyrant of Caracas. So why would someone like Jason Kenney do that? Well, because he's hedging his bets. Because if, as I said earlier, the odds are that Joe Biden will formalize his election steal, the Premier of Alberta needs to have lines of communication open to the new administration, especially when it comes to the most important thing Canada sells abroad, which is oil. Congratulations to President-elect Joe Biden and VP-elect. See, again, they're not President-elect, and she's not VP-elect on the U.S. election, and to all of those elected this week to the United States Congress and Senate. So, I mean, he's just doing that because he doesn't want to be, I mean, it's almost like that old Soviet tactic of watching, you know, when Comrade Stalin gives a speech and everyone is clapping, someone takes notes, who's the first to stop clapping? So, President-elect, yeah, not quite sure if that's true. Israel has never had a better friend than Donald Trump. I was disappointed to see only, it's 30% of my co-religionists voted for Trump. Now, it's more than in years past, but my God, you've got full-blown anti-Semites in the Democrats on the ascendancy, like Ilhan Omar. You know, when America moved its embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, that's by definition a nonpartisan thing. It's an embassy. It's not the Republican Party headquarters. That's something that is a symbol of recognizing the state of Israel. In my opinion, it was 60 years too late, but at least it was done. 70 years, whatever it is. Not a single elected Democrat went to the, they were all invited, of course. Not a single elected Democrat went to the opening of the embassy. Not one, not even the Jews. They're so afraid of the anti-Semitic ascendancy of the squad. That's the, and only 30% of American Jews vote for Trump. I mean, forget about Israel, just, you know, security, safety, rule of law. It's in fact, 35% of Muslims, a greater proportion of Muslims voted for Trump than Jews did. That's according to the exit polls. I find that incredible. You know, I'm going to take a break and read some super chats because we got so many coming in. But then I want to play you a clip of Rod Blagojevich, the former boss of Illinois, governor there, who knows a thing or two about fraud, on how the Democrats rig votes. I want to show you the media crying tears of joy. We got a video mashup of it. And I also want to show you a disgraceful CBC journalist. I know that doesn't narrow it down. Oh, there's just so many. I got so many great things here. But let me go through some super chats, okay? Because I think we've already got 17. Let me get right to it. First of all, thanks for these super chats. I appreciate that. Martin Sable, $20. I predict Joker JT will claim Canadians want only mail-in voting in 2023, then magically saying Canadians want me again. Trump should recount all votes with his guys. Should match, which I am sure they will be different. Numbers should match. Hey, Justin, I got a little mission for you. Can you go to the Canadian Senate and find, I think it's a bill that would lower the voting age to 16. A Liberal senator. Let me know, I can dig it up, but if you can get it. So to answer your question, a Trudeau-appointed senator has introduced a bill to reduce the age to 16. I think Trudeau will not just, look how quick you found that. An act to amend the Elections Act and regulation adapting the Canada elections age for the purposes of referendum, voting age. So just summary. The enactment amends the Canada Elections Act and the regulation adapting the Canada Elections Act for the purposes of a referendum to lower the voting age from 18 years to 16. There's your bill. And who's the senator who proposes it? Is that, is his or her name evident there? McFedrin. I don't know that senator by name. I'm pretty sure it's a Liberal. Anyways, if you can find out, if you could just show us a picture of McFedrin and confirm it's a Liberal, that'd be great. Sativa and me, $5. Do we need an army boot-looking in our front and back doors? Marshall, boot kicking. Do we need an army boot kicking in our front and back doors? Martial laws here, a soft version for now, but boots are coming. Don't even get me started. Hey, can I give you another mission, Justin? Yeah, Trudeau Senator, Mary Lou McFedrin. And what province is she from? Manitoba. Yeah, so children too young to drink, too young to do many grown-up things will now have the same vote as you, and you know that it's going to be vote harvesting. They'll probably want to have vote by click, completely susceptible to hacking, of course, but you know, they'll just drown out votes of someone who actually has a family, earns a living, deals with real-life issues, and a bunch of kids will get together and counter out those votes. I mean, why 16? Why not make it 14? Why not make it 12? Why not let every human vote? Why not let foreigners vote? What am I saying? Of course, in some elections, that's allowed now in North America. I was going to talk, the mission. I'm trying to remember the jurisdiction of police in the UK accosting someone who had an exemption. So this, shoot, I know I retweeted it, but there's so many bizarre and brutal UK cases. So a guy went into I think it was Sainsbury's. Can you go to Twitter? Police Sainsbury's, Sainsbury', mask. And it was just so gross. You know what I saw the other day? Police in Sussex. Someone there did a little blackface video on Twitter, made fun of someone. I'm not saying that's polite. I'm not saying that's right. Police raided his home at 4:45 a.m. Criminal police. Yeah, pump up the volume. Yeah, this is it.
Good afternoon.
What's the problem?
I don't have a problem.
Why haven't you got a face mask?
I have a medical condition that I don't need to wear one.
You got a medical condition?
No.
No.
I don't have. You don't have the right to ask me.
Then you need to leave the store. You can't provide proof.
Are you going to arrest me if I don't?
Will you forcibly remove you from the store? Yeah.
What, you won't arrest me?
No.
So it's not an arrestable offence.
It is an arrestable
Well, it
offence.
is, yeah.
Really?
Yes.
If you want to be arrested for it, you can.
I don't want
You
to be
need
arrested,
leave
no.
the store.
You need to leave.
I don't understand why I'm being harassed.
Because you need to wear a face mask.
But you don't if you've got a medical
Watch the
condition.
news. What medical condition have you got?
I suffer from anxiety, which you don't have a right to ask me about. What's your badge number?
21244.
What's your number?
Have you got anything? Can't you say you don't have
No,
a
I
face
don't
mask?
have
You
anything
to
on me.
leave
I've left
the
it at
store.
home.
Mate, you need to leave the store.
Okay, well I'll leave the store then.
Okay, thank you.
Can I give the trolley to my missus?
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, brilliant.
Actually, an exemption card that people have to get because we
It
were
would
under
help,
the
yeah.
impression.
It would help,
you
but
don't
is there
actually
one
have
that's
to-
I'm not gonna stand
necessary?
here arguing with you.
You don't have
Are
to
gonna
argue,
wear
just
a
ask
face
the
mask?
question. I've told you, I'll leave the store,
I'm
giving
not-
her the thing. Do you want to answer her question,
Now
though?
leave the store, please.
But on our way out of the store, could you tell me, is there a card that I need to get, or that I need to get? So I'm not
No,
required to have a card.
No.
So why am I being asked to leave the store?
Because you're breaking the law.
I'm not breaking the law.
Yes, you are.
Arrest me then.
Mate, leave the store now.
I'm leaving the store.
Leave the store.
I'm leaving the store. I'm following this guy.
How frustrating. Because you're breaking the law. Leave the store now. What law am I breaking? You know, I did actually see some laws being broken there, demanding of someone who has a medical condition for them to explain to a stranger without a warrant in a public setting designed to humiliate them what their medical condition is. If someone was in a wheelchair, prove you're in a wheelchair, prove you can't walk. Get up, get out of your wheelchair, prove you can't walk. Why, you weirdo, you creepy weirdo. I don't have to prove to you, some stranger on the street, what my medical condition is. Come back with a search warrant, you dirty cop. And by dirty cop, I mean a cop who was dirty, not calling all cops dirty, but those cops there were dirty. They were breaking the law. It was very frustrating. When the police become so politicized, when the police break the law, they murder their own reputations. Oh my God, it happened. You know what? Can we call? Did we show Avi? I don't think we did we? I want to show you something. This is so frustrating. And I tell you again, I grew up. My family, we were taught to not worship cops, but absolutely admire them, look up to them, respect them, count on them for help. Find a policeman. Anything goes wrong, find a policeman. I think I lived the first 40 years of my life without ever doubting that because it was an observable truth. But in the last 10 years, the amount of politicized policing I see that is done not just willingly but enthusiastically by people wearing, and in the UK of all places, the place that invented modern policing, the Bobbies, Robert Peel, police, the consent of the people. For them, they are the worst of them. The zeal with which they apply the law politically. Maybe it's worse in Australia. But I tell you what, they are murdering their own reputation, and to detonate my respect for police, it's Avi when he was at the global warming protest. You could probably find it quicker on his YouTube page, because just for Avi was slammed to the ground by police in Melbourne. He was handcuffed, he was arrested. The police later came to his home to harass him at his home. We had the case from Yorkshire of a woman getting creepy text messages from a cop, creepy phone calls, and then thrown in the back of a police car for doing nothing. It takes an explosive device to detonate the mountain of my respect and admiration for police. But when I see police, that wasn't policing we just saw in that Sainsbury's. That was humiliating someone for no reason, not knowing the law, but leaning on centuries of respect and love for the law. And so, Avi, are you doing okay finding it, or? It's not necessary. We don't need the one. So Avi has been covering the lockdown protests in the UK for weeks. Extremely heavy-handed police presence. So there was a global warming protest in Melbourne this weekend, and the police were very light touch because it's like a Black Lives Matter rally or a Celebrate Joe Biden rally. The pandemic rules don't apply. And Avi has not just our de facto approval to be our reporter down under, he actually has a government pass. We helped him apply for it. He's been certified as a journalist. You ask me what my license to be a journalist is, I say, it's called the Constitution, mate. Now, down under, Avi has all those natural rights, but he also is a certified, applied, and approved journalist in the UK, which comes with various privileges. He also has a work permit. Watch the police, who when they see Avi and they hate him, they don't act like police, they act like political police. And I tell you again, 40 years of my life, the love I had for police, it's like there's a conspiracy. You know, this whole defund the police movement, I find that scary and inappropriate. But a way to destroy support for the police is to make them turn against the people. Then you don't have to destroy them from within because by their actions, you've caused people to abandon them. Take a look at this from down under.
You don't care?
Just
About what?
don't fucking.
How you going, mate?
Hey, how you going?
How you going? You all right?
Yes, what's your name, please?
Avi Mini.
Yes, can you please get some more identification for me, Avi?
That's my media press card, government, Commonwealth.
Yep. Do you have your
Issued.
driver's license on you?
I do too, yeah, but that's my
Can I
government
please see? Can I
issued.
please see?
Yeah, no problem.
Sure.
Do you want a copy of my passport or my license?
Either one of those before, thanks.
There you go.
You're not here to protest, are you?
No, I've got my Commonwealth issued from the Australian government press
You're very
pass.
happy with that, aren't you?
I am. I really love it because that's my press pass.
Can we get another unit over here, please? Can you spell your first name for me, please?
Avraham, Avraham. Surname,
please.
Yemini, Yemini.
Your date of birth, please.
171085.
What's your purpose for being here?
I'm covering, there's a-
Outside of your 25k.
That's okay. I'm working in the media.
Do you have your
A copy of my permit I don't have on me now, to be honest, but
Okay, you don't have your copy of your permit on you, so I'm going to ask you to leave. You're outside of your 25k.
that's all right. I'll get a copy now sent to you here. I'm not going to move on. Like, with all due respect, this is my job. This is what I'm paid for. You're doing your job. Nobody's hindering you from doing your job. You know who I am very well. We have a current case with Victoria Police in the Supreme Court. The last couple of rallies, you've understood that, and we've worked really well together. I'm not here to bother you guys from doing your job, but you're not going to move me on from doing my job. I can give you a copy of my workers'
You
permit.
need to produce your permit.
I'll
You
get
don't
that
produce
sent.
your permit,
I'll
you
get that
need to
sent.
leave.
I'll get that sent now here. And otherwise I will fill another one out here right now. Otherwise you can go ahead and issue whatever fine you want to issue while I'm doing my job with my Commonwealth press card, which is quite obvious what I'm doing here, working. It's interesting, isn't it? There's been 0 cases for a week now, and they're trying to intimidate me to leave from doing my job because I forgot the piece of paper back at home, which is more than 25 k's from here. This is all because of coronavirus. For your safety at home, right now, This is what's happening. The funny thing is, every other protest in this state since Black Lives Matter have been met with brute force. You saw Tuesday, pepper spray deployed on peaceful protests. But today, for some reason, there's a big police presence and there are some protesters that set up a stand. Suddenly, COVID is fine. The problem is Avi Yamini is outside of his 25 kilometres. We better jail him. I think that's a good idea. I need to fill out another work permit. I forgot.
I've got an empty one for you.
Can you bring it?
Yeah.
Thanks.
You know, and he fills out a permit and he hands it to him. They knew who he was. They slammed him to the ground 2 months ago. We're suing on Avi. We're helping with a lawsuit to sue those police. He was interviewing a global warming protester, and they came up and they put him through that. And I'm sorry, that's a disgrace. And I would have to think that most people who are in the police force, that's not why they signed up to be cops. They signed up to be cops to go after bank robbers, murderers, rapists, drug dealers, whatever, not to go after journalists. But the eagerness and enthusiasm and occasionally the violence, can we get the fightthefines.co.uk? Can you go to the part where Amy is frog marched to the police van? I didn't mean this to be a police tangent here, but I don't know how we got on it. We need to come back so that the police have the universal and nonpartisan support of the country. Whether you're right or left, any race, any political creed, we all have to support the police. That's policing with the consent of the people, that it's not based on who you know or what your stripe is. And let me just show you the case. You may know that here in Canada we have something called fightthefines.com. In Australia we have fightthefines.com.au. That's their website suffix down there. And in the UK, we've set up fightthefines.co.uk. And our first client out there is named Amy Stewart, 30-year-old single mom from Yorkshire. She was speaking very quietly and very peacefully. I mean, not quietly, but not in a shouty kind of way, at a protest against the lockdown. 5 big police, like she's only 100 pounds. Like she's a very slight lady, surrounded by a wall of cops. She put her hands up there and just was very quiet and peaceful. They handcuff her, frog march her, and watch them throw her. That final throwing into the back of the police van. Take a look.
No, I'm your side, but no.
Wow, the police are, yeah, and now scooch ahead. I just comment on that one lady defending the police because the anger on the streets against the police was high. Now scroll forward about 30 seconds to when you see, let's watch a bit. Let's just watch a bit.
Go away! Swear to God, mate! Carry on!
Fucking scumbag.
I am sick of you abusing your powers! Sick of you abusing your powers, mate! Well, look what they're doing!
That guy is sick of the police abusing their powers. Oh, he didn't know the half of it. At one point, a cop just starts randomly pepper spraying people in the face, just randomly. And here's where Amy gets shoved in the back of the police van. Just awful. I spoke with Amy, and she told me what went on after the police van. I'm so angry about that, I can't even tell you. If that young lady, Amy Stewart, is the enemy, if that is the criminal, you know that song, Sympathy for the Devil by the Rolling Stones? It's a diabolical song when it was written 50 years ago, 50 plus years ago. That one line, every cop's a criminal and every killer's a saint or something. Do I have that line right? And it's a diabolical song. It's a devilish song. It's a satanic song. That's what it's about. It's about the devil. Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. It's a terrible song. It's about when the devil ran rampant. Hitler, Russian Revolution. And yet is it not coming true? I'm sorry, if that Amy Stewart is the criminal, if Avi Yamini is the criminal, if that guy in that British grocery store is the criminal, then I think we have twisted the word criminal beyond what, just as every cop is a criminal and all the sinners saints. As heads, as tails, just call me Lucifer because I'm in need of some restraint. All right, I forgot some of the lingo, but I'm going to come back to the news of the day. We got lots of super chats. I don't know why I went on a 10-minute tangent there. I didn't mean to, I swear. Well, I know why. Because over the weekend, our David, is Find the Thug up yet? Because over the weekend, our David Menzies went to a peaceful pandemic protest in the Western Ontario town of Aylmer. Yeah, can you click on the video there? The video's not yet? Is it unlisted or something? I'm hearing it's just not ready yet. So David went to Aylmer. And this guy just punched David. Grabbed the microphone out of his hand, threw the microphone, smashed it, and shoved David. I'm about half an hour too early for this. We're not quite ready to show it. It's just on my mind. And the police were right there. The police were right there and saw the whole thing. But because they don't give a damn about David Menzies, they were right there. In fact, I bet they're in the shot at a different angle. As this man physically assaulted David Menzies. Cops don't care about that. They care about, is your mask on, mate? By the way, if you've ever looked at a box of masks, they're very thoughtfully is a disclaimer on them, just like, on a McDonald's coffee, be careful, coffee is hot. Some lawyer said, yikes, we've been sued. Someone got $50 million for spilling hot coffee on you, so we have to have a warning. Caution, this is hot. Caution, this is poison. Don't drink it, A liability disclaimer, a waiver. And on a variety of masks that you buy these days is the disclaimer that the masks will not protect you from disease. Because if you know about the virus, you know it is so small, it goes in between the fibers of the mask. And it would be like trying to stop a pea with a chain link fence. So it's not even that there's science here. Very frustrating. All right, let me hurry up. That was an extremely long answer to Sativa and me saying martial law is here, a soft version now. And I hate to say it. I love it when Trump supports law enforcement. That is one of the many things I love about him. I guess in the last few years I've been exposed to the politically correct policing, the Facebook police, and now the mask police. And so it's hard for me to separate the highly partisan political police from the beat cop. Viking Insane, $2, social media equals Ministry of Truth. Yeah, as I said the other day, used to be politicians censored media companies. Now media companies are censoring politicians. Thomas Blaho, $50, thank you. For the support you give to businesses fighting fines and individuals, thank you. Well, we've got a whole bunch more legal cases coming out. I think we've got 4 new ones that will be coming out within the next week or two. Troy S., $5. How is it the votes are illegal in some states where there were more votes than registered voters? Yeah, well, the other side would say, oh, surprise, people just registered for voting that morning. Yeah, sure they did. At 4 a.m. Jake Dam, $5. As an Albertan, is AB 51 a viable option if Biden wins? No, because Joe Biden would not want another state that votes Republican. The only way that would be acceptable to Joe Biden is if Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C. got statehood, so that the Democrats wouldn't lose the Senate. Martin Sable, how does one know Trump votes did not get put into the Joe pile accidentally? I had zero respect for the media, seeing how Rob was treated. Glad I discovered a rebel. Well, that's the thing. When they shoo the Trump scrutineers out of the room, you know something's funny. Viking Insane, $5. When you tear out a man's tongue, you are not proving him a liar. You're only telling the world that you fear what he might say. George R.R. Martin. I'm not sure if that's the source of that quote, but it's a good quote anyways. Ant Crazy, $10. The media cannot call the election. It's constitutional, so Biden didn't win. Like in 2000, the media did the same thing with Al Gore. We never had a President Gore. It's true. I mean, you can say he's ahead in the counting or the presumed winner if you want to be the one making the presumption, but don't call him a president-elect because I don't think that's legally true. Margaret Granny McKay, $5. Did 2019 election Canada use the same software as USA election? Were we the USA test ground for the software? I think in Canada, most of the voting is done with a paper ballot, but mail-in voting is how they vote harvest in left-wing communities. Dr. $5. Those found ballots that showed up in the early hours of the morning, what are the chances those ballots are close to 100% for one party? Well, hopefully we'll find out soon enough in the challenges that the Trump team's making. A. Southey, $5. According to Charlie Kirk, if you ask Siri how old the president is, Siri tells you Kamala Harris's age. Yeah, I saw a video of that. Me C, $2. Biden is projected, not elect. Thank you. Yeah, that's exactly right. Roxanne LaFrance, $2. Trump needs to pardon Assange and Snowden. I think Trump needs to do a few things in the next 2 months. Declassify so many things that the deep state doesn't want declassified. Like, just put it all out there. Of their involvement with setting up Trump. I said online over the weekend, they should declassify how the Democrats spied on Martin Luther King. Absolutely. Why should Trump cover up for them? Pardon anyone involved with the fake Russia collusion probe. Still ill UK, $21. Hi, is there any news about Operation Stink? Is about watermark ballots with blockchain technology. Is that true? I just don't know. I don't know enough about that. I'm sorry. Fraser McBurney, $15. Hamilton Rally Report. Oh boy, what a success. What great entertainment. What great speeches. Congratulations to our 50-50 winner. I feel sorry for those Hamiltonians that didn't attend. They missed fun. Well, that's the thing. These days it's about being sourpuss and fun and not fun and scolding and snitching. There's not a lot of fun out there. Dr. $5. Even more concerning is that U.S. politician AOC and her TAP list to document all the people of prominence who supported Trump. Oh yeah, the anti-fascists are making lists of undesirables. What could possibly go wrong? I think they are the fascists, aren't they? Mika Shrednick, $20. Voice of reason you are in Canada. Ezra, keep it up, please. Make Canada great again. Well, I hope you're right. I hope we can make Canada great again, and we need more independent voices. Darun Albane, $5. 24 hours after polls closed, any uncounted ballots are or should be invalid. Well, if there was a delay in counting the votes, but the votes came in properly, I can understand taking as much time as it needs. I don't know why it should take so long. As the governor of Texas pointed out, they have the second largest state in America, 2 time zones. They counted everything the day of. What's the big problem? Margaret Granny McCabe, $5. Mexico's president won't congratulate Biden on election win until legal challenges are over. Yeah, why rush? And he's a lefty, by the way. Cheryl Root, $20. Thanks, Cheryl. Unjust on Trudeau, $2. Scott Moe also congratulated the fake president-elect. See, I can understand exporting states wanting to suck up to the new regime. I get it. I understand. But just don't call him president-elect, okay? Eliza Lopez, $14. The dictatorship of Cuba is celebrating for Beijing Biden when they even can't feed our people 1 meal a day. And Tony Castro, son of Fidel Castro, planning to sell our baseball players to Biden. Well, that's why so many Latinos were for Trump. And I tell you, for 1 week now, that song Latinos for Trump has been going through my head, which I just love. The fact that so many Cuban and Venezuelan expats in America were for Trump. Martin Sable, $5. Sad thing is the way Boris Guard are acting. Do not be shocked if people will just walk right past seeing UK cop being attacked by thugs and not call help. Well, that's the thing. We want to love the police because we want the police to be our protectors. That's part of the social contract that Thomas Hobbes wrote about in the Leviathan. We all voluntarily agree to give up violence to a small group of independent, nonpartisan, rule-bound police officers that we all respect. And thus we have a harmony and a peace, and if there's conflicts, we solve them non-violently. So we need to love the police, we need to respect the police, and we need to trust the police. But when the police are acting not like a referee, but rather a player, and when they're partisan and they're engaging in politics rather than the rule of law and fighting real crimes, that's what I find so deeply demoralizing. Some people oppose the police with glee. I oppose political policing with despair and demoralization. Dr. $5. Perhaps Tommy Robinson's treatment at the hands of authorities over the last decade has acted as a trial run to what's to come to those in the UK. You are exactly right. And no one cared. We cared, but no one else cared. I'm going to take a short break from the Super Chats because I got so many. I want to show you the Biden supporter asking for a peaceful protest. So I'm not sure exactly where this was, but it looks like a Black Lives Matter mob was coming for a house, it looked like, or a store, I'm not sure which. And the man there was saying, but I'm a Biden supporter, but I'm a Biden supporter. I'm for defunding the police. I'm with you guys. Get the guy next to me. I'll point out the Trumper in the neighborhood. I'll rat out the Trump guy. Don't come for me. Take a quick look at this. Peaceful protest is white supremacy. I don't think that's true. In fact, I think that's a little bit racist because that implies that people of color cannot or do not protest peacefully and are naturally violent. I think that's actually a racist thing to say against blacks. Kenneth Melnichuk, $7. Hi Ezra, I saw Anna's recent video from New York. I noticed she's wearing a vest. Is Rebel Media giving her danger pay? Well, we have different ways of compensating our talent here at Rebel News. And one of the things we do, not in the form of compensation, but in the form of protection, is that we try to furnish for our reporters security guards where possible, lawyers where possible. Sometimes, like when David was assaulted in Aylmer this weekend, no one simply predicted that act of violence would happen. And as David said to me on the phone when I called him, he said, even if there'd been a security guard right there, it happened so instantly and so out of the blue that you wouldn't have been able to prevent it. And I think he's probably right. So we put the safety of our talent high. But unfortunately, the only way to be 100% safe is never to leave our office. So there's a balance between risk and I mean, there's a certain calculated risk you can take. I just don't want our people to be reckless. And I want us to, where possible, in advance, size up the risk. There's no other media company in Canada, and I dare say precious few in the United States or the UK, that have to actually hire bodyguards as they do their journalism. You'd think we were in Iran or Russia or something, but no, it's the hard left mob that feels like attacking us. Chris Wells, $5. Thank you, Chris. Kurt Koenig, $10. If he knows they are after him, why did Avi give them an excuse to harass him by not bringing his papers? It could have been avoided if he had them, right? Sorry, can't support this. Well, Kurt, you and I are going to disagree on that one because he had all his papers, he had all his forms. My understanding of the permit is that was sufficient. It was just the cop putting him through the grinder. I didn't play the rest of the video. He had the form ready in like 2 minutes. But that cop knew exactly who Avi was. That cop was just harassing him, wasting his time, had nothing to do with law enforcement, had nothing to do with crime fighting. It had to do with the fact that these guys threw Avi to the ground 2 months ago and we're suing them. And so this guy's just being snippy. And do you really think that's a policeman using his good discretion? I do not. If a cop were to say, where's your papers? I'd say, well, the paper's called the Charter of Rights, sir. You can look it up yourself, Constitution. Me, see, $2. Biden projected. No one discerns headlines. Yeah. Well, you see the words elected or president-elect a lot. Me, see, $2. Disappointed reading Netanyahu, Jewish vote, etc. Yeah, me too. But alas. Codex 271, what do you think of the Pfizer vaccine coming out? Well, I'm not surprised that the announcement, which the media should love and the conventional wisdom should love, was delayed till 6 days after the election. Are you? Imagine if this news came out the day before the election. $5. Other than SCOTUS and taxes, what are the other perks of Republicans having the Senate? At least one seat in Georgia will go to Republicans as they won't need 50%. Well, says you, but again, Republicans are good at getting the vote out, but as Joel Pollack points out, Democrats are good at getting ballots out. It's very different. Having the Senate in Republican hands is absolutely crucial for stopping insane things like packing the courts and changing the larger rules, for slowing things down, for vetting insane judicial picks that we'll surely see, for vetting foreign affairs picks. I think there's diplomats, for example, for having investigations and checks and balances. Having the presidency and the Congress and the Senate in the hands of one party, when that party is as insane as the Democrats, is very dangerous. Terrace Garden, $7. Thank you. Jody McLean, $5. 132,000 ballots pulled in just one county in Georgia, Fulton County. Yeah, I don't know as much about Georgia as I know about places like Pennsylvania, but Atlanta is a Democrat town, and I am worried about the steal. Robert Stone, $10. Rebel News is Canada's official opposition. Well, you know, I think I mentioned this the other day. Rex Murphy was giving a speech at the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedom, and he said as the media becomes to resemble and is connected to the government more and more through bailouts and handouts and subsidies, ought there not to be an official opposition within the media to the government media? And I think that's us. Jake Dam, $5. I live right next to the Alberta legislature. If you ever need an additional body, I'm here for you guys. Well, Jake, I appreciate that, and I probably get an offer several times a week. People who say, I'll come and help with security, and I appreciate that. But I decline it because we want bodyguards who are licensed and insured. So, and we also want people, and I'm not casting aspersions on you, Jake, I don't know you, but sometimes people who volunteer to be bodyguards are actually saying, I'd like to punch someone. No. Professional bodyguards de-escalate. And frankly, even though they may be the toughest guy around, in many ways they would rather run away than fight. When I went with 7 Top Gun security guards to City Hall a couple months ago, maybe you saw the video, I had 7 bodyguards with me, and David Menzies with me, and we had 5 cameras. It was a huge squad. And there were some hobos there. My 7 guys could have pulverized the hobos in like 120 seconds. My guys were like ex-special forces, big, tough guys who spend their time working out. And these hobos, you know. But professional security is not a gang. It's not there to smash, it's there to protect. And so they exited us rather than smashing the hobos to pieces. That's what professional security does. In fact, there was a point where the guy assigned me was saying, we gotta go. And I said, I dismiss you. And I knew he wouldn't go because he was just trying to get me to go because he knew I was stubborn, and that's that risk management. I chose to be riskier than he wanted me to be. So I do not want amateur volunteer bodyguards, because what if something goes wrong? We need the insurance, we need the licensing, we need the professional approach. We don't need people just looking to pound some leftists, however momentarily satisfying that might be to the amateur bodyguard. Fraser McBurney, $5 at our Hamilton rally. There were 2 police officers that patrolled and never interferes, but when one thug caused trouble, they were there to help. Okay, well, listen, like I say, I'm certainly not condemning all police. It's just unfortunate that I see so many police who are political. And you know what? I remember when the New York Police Benevolent Association, which is like the cop union, and I know there's no way we'd be able to find it, but they put out a statement saying, we are not interested in being social distancing police or mask police for the mayor. We have enough real crime to fight. We're not going to do that. And I thought, that's why the New York Police Department is widely regarded as the finest police force in the world. They're one of the finest anti-terrorism police forces in the world. They're one of the finest for neighborhood community policing. Broken windows theory of James Q. Wilson, work on the small stuff to protect the big stuff. And so the fact that the NYPD, which I think is a fine police force, said to the mayor, we're not doing your stupid politics for you, find someone else. I thought, that's why they're beloved. That's why the New York Police Department is beloved. And when I see cops in Canada or Australia or the UK, I haven't seen a lot in America, thank God. When I see cops being mask scolds, I think you're destroying centuries of trust. Centuries, generations of trust. I don't want to be made anti-cop, I'm not. But my God, some police make it tough. It's 12:56, we have time for a little bit more. I want to show you, I mentioned this, Rob Blagojevich. He was the former Democrat governor of Illinois. He was thrown in jail. Trump actually gave him a commutation of his sentence or something. So you could say he's just saying this as a thank you to Trump. But I don't know. I think the governor of Illinois, who was convicted of corruption, knows a thing or two about corruption. He's a Democrat. Take a look at this from Robert Blagojevich.
We appreciate it. You know, I mean, it's interesting. We're talking about corruption here. What do you make of what we're seeing in Philadelphia?
If the question is, are the Democrats stealing votes in Philadelphia, my answer is the Pope Catholic? It's a time-honored tradition in big Democrat-controlled cities like Chicago, my hometown, Philadelphia, to do precisely what they're doing now. I've never seen it on such a magnitude, because this, I think, is an indication of just how widespread it is, how deep it is, and I don't think it's just confined to Philadelphia. My instincts, again, coming out of Chicago Democratic politics, my instincts tell me it's going on in Atlanta, it's going on in Detroit, it's going on in Milwaukee, it's going on in Las Vegas. It's like what Justice Powell said about pornography. You can't define it, but you know it when you see it. And coming out of the Democratic Chicago political establishment, I know how they operate. They control polling places, they stop votes when their candidate's behind, and then in the wee hours of the morning, in the dark of night, the stealing starts. And we've seen that in big numbers, unprecedented numbers in this election in Michigan and in Philadelphia. It's outrageous. And the fact that they're doing it with the impunity they're doing it with is because the media is simply looking the other way, because they have they're a corrupt mainstream media that's not interested in protecting our Constitution or the rule of law. They just want to beat Donald Trump at all costs. And they're not just stealing from Donald Trump. It's worse than that. They're stealing from us, the American people.
I mean, and not to hit a nerve, but I mean, you went to jail for this kind of stuff. I mean, is it really that common? I mean, you said it's all over the place?
In Democrat big cities where they control the political apparatus and they control the apparatus that counts the votes and they control the polling places and the ones who count those votes, it's widespread and it's deep. And as I said, it's a time-honored tradition. It's the kind of thing where everybody knows it happens. Now, I did not go to prison for that. I took on that corrupt Democrat machine, and they brought me to ruin. They destroy you when you take on a system, when you won't play ball, and when you take them on. And what they did to me at a local level, at the AAA level to a Democratic governor, I see what they're doing to a Republican president at the major league level. They hijacked a governor. They're now stealing a presidency. And this is incredibly dangerous to our democracy and our freedoms. And the American people should not stand for this.
That's Rod Blagojevich. You know, Tammany Hall It's a word that you might not know. But it was the gang style, team style, clan style politics in New York City going back a century. Every time the mayor would change, the police officers would change, not the police commission, the cops on the beat. That's one of the reasons they brought in minimum standards. You had to be 5'8" or 6 feet or whatever it was, like, because friends of the mayor would be, 5'2" weakling saying, "I'm here to be a police." No, you're not. Because the police would change, every government bureaucracy, the dog catcher, the garbage collectors would change. So you had this whole clan-based system, New York, Chicago. That's one of the I was mentioning. That's one of the reasons they brought in objective standards of merit for police and for firemen. You had to be 6 feet tall. You had to be able to lift 200 pounds or whatever, because it was assumed that they would just have the new mayor's friends. But can we please have some basic standards and pretend we're still doing police work and still doing fire work and still doing garbage collections? So Tammany Hall. I read a book called Plunkett of Tammany Hall. Can you find that? Plunkett, Plunkett of Tammany Hall. It's a terrifying book. Reformers are morning glories was one of the lines in the book. It was a way of saying you'll never change the corrupt cronyism of these cities. And it reminds me a little bit of that terrifying movie, Gangs of New York. Yes, they had violent gangs, but they were only... Plunkett of Tammany Hall, a series of very plain talks on very practical politics. I read that book. Can you pump it up just a tiny bit? Nobody thinks of drawing the distinction between honest graft and dishonest graft. This classic work offers the unblushing, unvarnished wit and wisdom of one of the most fascinating figures ever to play the American political game and win. George Washington Plunkett rose from impoverished beginnings to become a ward boss of the 15th Assembly District in New York, a key player in the powerhouse political team of Tammany Hall, and not incidentally, a millionaire in a series of utterly frank talks given at his headquarters, Graziano's bootblack stand outside the New York City County Courthouse. He revealed to a sharp-eared and sympathetic reporter named William L. Reardon the secrets of political success as practiced and perfected by him and fellow Tammany Hall titans. The result is not only a volume that reveals more about our political system than does a shelf full of civics textbooks, but also an irresistible portrait of a man who would feel happily at home playing ball with today's lobbyists and kingmakers, trading votes for political and financial favors. Doing for 20th century, it won't show anymore, but that's a heck of a book. It's called Plunkett of Tammany Hall. And that Tammany Hall politics, you could just call it big city American Democrat politics. Any Detroit, Baltimore, Philadelphia, St. Louis, Chicago, San Francisco. We have it in Canada too. Quebec is the worst. Is there a single mayor of the last generation in Quebec that has not been charged with corruption? So, that's what we're dealing with here. It's 103. I am going to leave you with a supercut. Oh, a couple more super chats coming in. I don't see them. You just sent them. Okay, here we go. There we go. On Justin Trudeau, $2. Reminder, Ezra, mask exemption update for Saskatchewan cities. Thank you for the reminder. Justin, can you remind me? I got to talk to Sarah. We got to get that updated. I can't remember if I had the lawyer do that, but just try and remind me, because we need our lawyer to do. Maybe I've already asked for it and he sent it. I just missed it in my email. Kurt Koenig, maskexemption.ca. There's new jurisdictions with masks, so we got to have the new exemptions. Thank you for the reminder. I'm sorry. Kurt Koenig, $5. It was heavy-handed, but could have been avoided if he hadn't forgotten his papers. To be fair, yeah. But here I am objecting to the concept of a journalist in a free country needing papers. It didn't change any of the facts on the ground. It was pettifogging. It was being punctilious. It was abusing his discretion. There's a Latin phrase that we learned in law school, de minimis non curat lex. The law does not care about trivialities. If you were going 51 in a 50 speed zone, you broke the law. If you were going 50.1, 50.01 miles an hour in a 50, you broke the law. You either exceeded the speed limit or you didn't. Yes, but de minimis non curat lex. The law does not concern itself with trivialities. And the only flaw there was that Avi didn't have Form 21AB 14 on him, but he was in compliance in every other way other than some paperwork way. So yeah, I don't accept a country as free as Australia living in a voice of papers, you know, spoken in a German accent. No, I don't accept that. My friends, it's 1:05. I think we got through the Super Chats. I thank you for your attention. I'd like to invite you to tune into my show tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. You have to subscribe to Rebel News Plus, but it's only $8 a month. It's less than Netflix. I do a full TV length show every night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Every week, my friends David Menzies and Sheila Gunn Reid do a show. And most importantly, it keeps the lights on here at Rebel News because we don't get any money from the government. And that's why we're independent, as Rex Murphy said, being the official opposition to the government media industrial complex. Thank you so much for being here. Do we have a dog video today? We do. So I'm going to say goodbye now. And we like to leave in these troubled times. We like to leave our live chats with a dog video. So I'll say goodbye now. Watch the dog video. Sheila and David will be in this chair tomorrow. Tune in tonight to my show if you like. And thanks for being here.